Welcome to the show, folks. What's going on?
What is up, everybody?
There we go. Hey, what's going on, people? Thank you for joining us today. It's going to be a great show. Today we have a special guest, and today's topic is why you do what you do. And we're going to talk about the habits and the actions that we take and how neuroscience can play a role into helping us reprogram our brain and get ourselves back in alignment with our desires of how we want to conduct ourselves. A lot of times we get into I guess programming as a youth, what they tell you to do in school and what we see our parents do and tell us not to do, and we take root of those things. Children are innocent. They do a lot of things that we say, why would they do that? But they're not predisposed to certain activities. Last segment, if you guys got a chance to watch that, was on giving. It was Do One Give Day. And our guest talked about, getting to your children before the age of 6, because they're not really exposed to things, and you can teach them about giving and participating in community activities and things before they get, a certain kind of understanding in their mind. So we're going to talk more about how the mind works. Rob, tell us a little bit more about our guest and who she is and what she does.
How's my connection looking?
You're a little choppy, but I can hear you and I can see you. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, after we introduce our guest, I'm gonna hop off this whack internet and go to my phone.
Okay. Yeah.
Omozua Isramen, this young lady I met on LinkedIn a couple of years ago. We had a conversation. I was blown away by just what she was doing and how she was doing it. She is like, she's a brain coach. She's a high performance brain trainer.
Yes, the brain trainer.
The brain trainer. Neuroscience based solutions for people, teams, business growth. We're talking neural agility, people. Have you ever heard this? No, we're blessed in 21st century to have that term be amongst us. Neural agility. Can I get an amen? Somebody.
Yes, yeah, amen.
How much trillion cells in your body is saying that. So she helps you understand that. I'm going to read a little bit of what she has on LinkedIn. She says, the world and business space of today makes individuals, leaders, teams, and organizations face accelerating change and disruption. Watch this. Problems faced are: we do not see the whole system for what and how it is. 2, we operate with an incomplete puzzle trying to remain on top of things. That's interesting. 3, we're unresourceful habits, inner blocks, and insufficient insights of our preferences and strengths hinder us from creating lasting change. That sounds like somebody just don't want to see what's really there. And I know it's not our fault, but that's why we have coaches, and that's why we're going to bring this young lady on. Omozua is just the one. So take some notes. Take some notes and prepare your mind, because this is what the 21st century provides us, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it provides us insights right here before you without you doing anything. Insights that can literally change your life.
So we're gonna start our show up, and we're gonna be back with our guest. Rob, you go ahead and switch over to your phone. Folks, stay tuned, keep watching. We want to make sure that you send the link out. This is going to be a great show, so share this with some friends, family, anybody you think that could benefit from reprogramming their brain and getting their mind back on track and strengthening themselves. So you don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with our special guest, Omozua. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I am very good. Thank you so much. So good to see you and to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And just I know me and Robert are trying to. Can you say your name for folks that are watching, and so they can find out?
So my name is Omozua Ameze Isramen.
Isramen. So folks, you can check her out. She has a LinkedIn page, and we'll post her information up here on the screen where you can get in contact with her. But tell us a little bit more about this. So we're talking about why you do what you do, and how a lot of things we do that are maybe unconscious or in our subconscious that reflect on our day-to-day, we can actually reprogram our brains to do differently. Tell us a little bit more about why we do what we do. Give us some examples.
So I am somebody who doesn't like numbers, and I never understood that. When I was a child, growing up in a family of accountants, people who were doctors, people who were engineers, I didn't like numbers, and I never understood it. I thought something is wrong with you. You're not smart. You're not like the others. You don't have the skills that the other people have. And for many years, I didn't understand it better till I came across this concept of the brain and what understanding how it's wired, how it's constructed, how the way it's structured contributes to what we do, how we are, preferences, things that we find interesting, going down to how we relate to people. And when you understand that, everything changes. So when I did my neuro agility profile, I came to realize that, wow, it's not even a surprise that I don't like numbers. So it's not that it's an intelligence I don't have. It's just not my preference. It's not on one of my high preference intelligences. Mm-hmm. So I'm not in a job where I have to do accounting. Okay. I'm not an accountant. I don't work in a bank. And I thought, wow, now I understand why some people in my family were good at math. It just came to them naturally. It didn't come to me naturally. And so I see what I do today, my profile absolutely confirms why that comes easy to me. So this interpersonal, you get to understand, why are you not like rational? Why is that not the first thing that comes to you? Then I realize, wow, I have a right brain hemisphere dominance, especially in times of stress, new situations. That's the brain half that leads. But it doesn't mean you don't use both, because that's also another thing. People say, oh, I'm just logical. Now that is not possible. Yeah, that's not possible. And actually we've got a whole brain, I like to show. And we want to use all of it. So there is no point saying I only use that part, because what people don't know many times is that your left brain hemisphere controls the right eye, the right ear, and the right part of your body. So if someone has a stroke and that part is now damaged, it's because that part of the brain is no more functioning. This part of my body gets instructions from there. And this part of my body gets instructions from the right side.
Hmm.
So when people say I only use, I'm very left, yeah, then you wouldn't be able to walk.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Or you wouldn't be able to swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need both. Okay.
Working together. You need it working together.
You need working together. So the concept of understanding is how can you be more? When people talk about potential, how can you be more of what is possible? Because we're not using all our potential just yet. But just this insight of what is my point of departure? That is, why do you do what you do? Starts with knowing who you are, how you're wired. How do you how do you prefer to express yourself? How do you learn? How do you relate? What is your figurative language? Are you more a strategist? Is that the part? What quadrant of your brain fires on first? What direction do you go? Are you more expressive? Are you more receptive? And finding the balance. It's not only expressive, it is expressive and receptive.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just left rational. It is that whole creative and logical. That's what is, and when you know that, you can improve your potential. You can act upon something that's a bit more accurate than just guessing.
Now you're talking about tapping into those powers of heart and mind coherence. I love this. And so, I mean, essentially, we're walking people to that. We're walking them to a place of alignment where they're connecting their mind and heart. They're using their whole brain. They're understanding this not just one side. But what is how do we get people there? Because let's say you have all the thoughts in the frame of references. I've been studying for a while, so I have some frame of references. But someone who has no frame of reference at all, and how do we get them to understand the power that they actually have between those two ears of theirs?
I would say it really starts with this brain awareness. I get asked a lot, why do you talk about the brain? Leadership workshop. I said, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. We're going to start with the brain. And I showed them my best friend. And they go, oh, I'm sorry. Am I in the right workshop? Because I thought this was a leadership thing. And that's exactly where we have to start with the awareness. Awareness that the brain is the core of everything you do.
Yep.
Do you want to merge with another company? Do you want to collaborate? That involves the brain because you have to make decisions, and you make decisions based on what you feel. So I even go deeper and I say, not only are we going to talk about the brain, we're also going to talk about emotions because that fires me up. Emotional mastery. Your ability to understand that what you feel, one, is human.
Yeah.
2, you can't avoid it. 3, it's part of the system. Why do you like vanilla and not chocolate? That's an emotion. It's a feeling, right?
Yeah.
So it does matter.
Doesn't
Why do you feel attracted to a certain person and not a certain other person? Just from looks. It's because you feel something. That's an emotion. Why does something irritate you? That's an emotion. So the two things, this brain awareness and the awareness of the importance of your emotions in every single thing you do. If you don't understand that when you get angry, when you get frustrated, when you are happy, when you are frustrated, all of that has to do with that amazing asset that we have. And when you understand it, we talk about fixing, changing. But I say, why? What do you want to change? An apple is an apple. You can't change it. It is as it is. When you realize things about yourself, you know it is as it is, but I can add on. I like the idea of expanding. Expand that puzzle that you are.
Talking about expansion, just within the last 20 years, there's been this new word that popped out: neuroplasticity. Now, when I was walking around at my son age, that word was nowhere around. Okay, now the word is here, but it's a big word and it means a lot. A lot of us thought that you get to a certain age, your brain stops growing. Go ahead and just find a rocking chair, somebody. That's what they thought, but
Yes.
that's not true, is it?
We know that now. We know that. We have that insight. That's why it is so important that we start from that, embracing this information. That isn't it wonderful to know that your brain doesn't just stop
Oh,
growing.
I'm happy.
So
I'm so
you
happy.
yeah, you can age. You can age wonderfully. You can be
Yes.
fit. You can have, you be able to focus, have attention, have well-being, even up into your 80s and 90s. But you need to take care of that organ.
Mhm.
Everything with your body, your well-being, the way you relate, the way you connect, the way you perceive the world,
Yes.
the way you change your habits. Where do these habits? What is the habit? For me, a habit is something that you do all the time. So it's just an autopilot. It just happens. Neuroplasticity is just saying, as much as when you use something, you're good at it. Your brain just knows, oh, that's what we're doing. I'm just going to do what I always do.
Hmm.
But being the CEO of the brain
Come on.
requires that you ask yourself questions. Is this thing that I am doing and that I have continued to do,
Hmm.
and I believe I should continue doing,
Hmm.
leading me to where I want to be,
Good
to what
question.
I really want to have? And I'm not talking of the look good
Right.
thing you want to have.
Hmm.
I'm talking of that thing that comes from your core, that drives you, that makes you join a mission, that makes you have a vision.
Yes.
I'm talking of that. And that is driven by the habit you practice.
Yep.
So I used to speak German. I used to speak Spanish very well, moderately well. Very well is a bit exaggerated, moderately well. But I haven't spoken it in ages. So there's a reason why we say use it
Or lose
or
it.
lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when
Wow.
you talk about habits,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
it is a daily thing. It's not just like a cup. Oh, I had my wonderful mindfulness tea on Saturday. I don't drink it Monday to Friday. There I'm just stressed and busy and not unfocused. No. It is a way of being. When we talk about of a way of being, it's not just a lifestyle, it's not just a trend.
Yeah.
It is more, what are the habits that you do over and over again to maintain where you are, to have brain fitness, but also to use more of that vast amount of potential that we are
Mm.
not using.
I like that. You said
So
habits. You said what are the habits? I like that.
yeah,
Because it starts.
I got two things, right? So one is, there's I've seen these little tests that you can take, and it says, oh, you're a leader, you're an entrepreneur, or whatever, and it gives you these quadrants of how your personality kind of goes into, right? But those things are not, they're like horoscopes. They got some of it right, but not all of it. It's never kind of precise, right? And so we can look at the study of archetypes and how everybody fits into these archetypes, and
Yes.
how these, and Freud kind of breaks these things down of why you do in your mind. But the challenge is this. So we take those tests to try to get on that road of self-discovery, to kind of bring things to light of who we really are. There's an artist that I like, and he had it in this verse of his song. When he was going through his divorce, he said, I wanted you to know me, but I didn't even know myself. So he
Hmm.
was mad because it didn't seem like they connected, because she wasn't knowing who he was, but he admitted he didn't even know himself, right? A
Yeah.
lot of we don't know ourselves, because we're not only are we who we are today, but we're evolving tomorrow to something else, and it's hard to kind of catch up. So with that said, not going down the road of these testings or whatever, what can I do to kind of be on that self discovery, to know this is a habit, this is something that I do, and not necessarily judging those things as good or bad, just becoming aware first of all that this is who I am, this is how it is, and maybe then why it is and where it might have originated from, and then determining how much of that do I still want in my life. Because for me, I could be confident and aggressive if I want to the point to where I never ran from a fight. You want to fight me? Let's go, right?
Mhm.
Now, being too overly confident, I can get into trouble when I didn't need to. But I don't want to lose it completely, because if somebody comes after my family, I want to be able to say, hey, I can take care of this.
Mhm.
Having that balance of when to use it or how to hold back. So how do we draw those lines out to know who we are, why we are that? What kind of discovery tools can we implement?
That's a very big question, and there are 1,000 things that just, as you talked about. First of all, just starting with, I have done tests where they say, okay, you're a leader, you're confident, and that is absolutely good. I think that's definitely a solid place, solid information to know. The difference here is the neuroagility profiles are not psychometric. They are not psychometric. You can't fail who you are, because it just shows who you are. That's it. How do you learn? What are your preferences? How do you relate? What are your when it comes to your intelligence? Because people think you have to be mathematical, verbal, but there is more than just IQ. Where are areas that you need to identify that you actually have a need? I am more like, if somebody tells you this is what you are, I have found that that's what people believe, and they accept it, and they don't feel I can do more beyond that. So this knowing yourself, I would also say that it is a discovery. It's a discovery, and also choosing with intention and attention, what is it? Where can I go from here? That's what I learned about my neuroagility when it came to sort of my interpersonal skills, that I saw, wow, there is gap for optimization, enhancement, growth, development. And I like that. I like that it didn't just tell me you are this and that's it. There has to be more, because why else do we live? Why else do we want to thrive? Why else do we want to go ahead? And that we also know we are human beings, but we're not human beings alone. We are beings with other beings. So I need to understand, I need to relate to you. That's what it's all about. It's not just a trend, emotional intelligence or emotional mastery. If I don't get along with you, if I cannot communicate with you, then it means there is something that triggers me, and I need to understand it about myself, because if I can't do it for myself, how am I going to be able to see it in you and understand it? What can it possibly be? Everything is conditioned. It's not random. We just have this feeling sometimes it's random. I am the way. No, we've been conditioned. There is something you learned as a child. Wow. What is it that I do? I'm constantly corrected. And that imprints on your personality. And then you become a young adolescent. And then you realize, wow, I don't seem to belong there. I don't seem to belong there, because we're trying to form our identity. And that impacts on how you behave, because all through that, you have to function in the world where you are. How you've come upon that. That's just the way it is. And then you become an adult, and then you realize, my goodness, something is kind of wrong with me. So I have to behave a certain way so that I don't get in trouble. And then I don't belong there. I don't belong there. So I have to behave a certain way so I fit in. And then, wow, I have to do it all alone. And then you start living adulthood.
I like that point. Yeah, I like that point. So how do we, because a lot of us are seeing one thing and one thing really alone, and that's acceptance, right? We want others to accept us, but we also want to accept ourselves. Sometimes we don't accept ourselves, so we feel like we always got to keep changing. We're always trying to keep changing and trying to be something different and be something we're not. And yeah, your audio's gone, Rob. You're on mute. There you go. So we're always chasing that thing to accept ourselves, and then really ultimately that others accept us as well. How do we get off that roller coaster of acceptance? Or should we? Where does that play a role in?
I like the fact that you just said the word chasing after something, looking for something, thinking that I'm gonna find. Have you had that you just thought of that wonderful holiday? It's all planned. It's fantastic. 3 weeks in the sun on the beach. You're looking forward to it. Okay. You get there. Oh, awesome. Just look at the hotel. Look at the beach. Fantastic. Second day, you're still thrilled and excited. But what happens to how you feel? By the fourth week, by the fourth day, sorry, seventh day, it's still the same place, right?
Yeah,
it's still sunny.
You want that comfort at home.
Yeah, oh, what do we do? What do we do today? Oh, let's go to the beach. Do you see? There is a change in how you feel.
Yeah.
But nothing has changed in where you are.
Right.
So now you're like, well, let's go to that island over there because this is boring. We've seen this. And you're chasing for that thing that actually it's a feeling of something that you need inside. And it doesn't matter what island you go to and what boat trip, and if you snorkel till the bottom of the ocean. When something in you needs to be reset for true fulfillment, you need to deal with those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you cannot search for it outside. So this chasing it, then the authentic question is, what is it?
What is it?
What is that that you're chasing? So let's put some language on it.
Put some language on it.
Let's put some language on it. Identify it. Isn't that what we say? If you've got a goal, you need to know. I always talk about the formula and the ingredients of what you're cooking.
Come on.
You want to cook a dish,
the
way it is done, you need to make sure you've got all the ingredients, and all of them matter individually as elements, but together. Isn't it wonderful? You make that perfect lasagna. Everything is where it should be. Not too dry, not too fluid, perfect consistency. You put it in your mouth and it comes together, and you feel it within.
Yeah, true. Facts.
But that's really about life, isn't it?
But at the same time, if you had the wrong ingredients in that lasagna, it wouldn't have that delicious taste. And then you're saying the same thing about us. We got to have the right ingredients. If we don't have the right ingredients, we're not going to have the right recipe. We're not going to have what we're looking for. And so,
but then flexibility, Rob. The next thing is flexibility, because that's also something about being human and not wanting everything to be perfect.
That's it.
Accepting it as it is. I've made a lasagna. I don't know what I put in it, but one thing I put in it made it go wrong. What's wrong? Maybe wrong is too harsh a word, but sort of it didn't go in the right direction. So you should be able to be human enough to know I can course correct.
Love it.
I can tweak. I can forgive myself for what I did, and I can tweak and choose again. And just be an expanded version with what I have learned, because what I have learned will always follow you on. You build on that. What is mastery? Mastery is going from there to there to there, to a point where you understand, I can feel bad if I wake up tomorrow morning, but it's okay. I can be with that I feel bad. That's emotional mastery. Understanding I can be with that. And if I'm on Mauritius and on the 8th day I'm bored, that is also okay. But then instead of being, you can go in two directions. You can I'm bored, how awful, oh, the beach all day. And it's a cycle downwards. Or you can say, well, it's kind of the same thing you do on this kind of holiday, but what else can you do when you go to Mauritius? There are beaches everywhere. Maybe I can go inland and I can see a little bit of the people. But you see, it's a choice.
Yes.
It's a choice that doesn't take you down the downward spiral, but an upward spiral. And the choice that you make when you notice, I feel bored. Not I am bored. I feel bored. I feel irritated. What is happening around me that could be contributing to that? Is it something someone said? Is it something I smell? Is it a memory? Whatever. And then there are steps that you take. Cool down.
I want to talk about those steps too. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I would like to talk more about this neuro agility and developing our emotional intelligence, right? And so what are some steps that we can do? So as we go into making the list of self-discovery and writing down things about ourselves, and I think that's a great key, folks. Take a moment to just kind of sit down and write down things that you feel are good and bad, or whatever you want to do, things you want to change, things you love about yourself. And then ask some folks that are really close to you too. I read a book one time and it said, if you really want to know about yourself, ask people you trust to be very transparent with you, and then go ask strangers, right? And because people that you trust might say, nah, you're great there, but a stranger, a matter of fact, somebody shared a story with me today. They said they went and they put their efforts out on display, and strangers booed them. And they're like, you know what? That's great. Love your opinion. And they kept going because they know that other folks cheered them on. Not everybody's going to like what you do, but it's great to have feedback from all the different sides. Get those things down and write the list out to get to come to that place of self-discovery. But once you get that self-discovery, we're going to come back, and Omozua is going to talk to us about developing some neural agility. How can we shift and pivot in those times where we're usually doing something as a habit? Now we're going to take control of that habit to where it's just not automatic, but now we have a little bit of control over that to where we can reprogram it, reprogram that to be more effective, more beneficial, to continue to help us to grow and shift our mindsets from maybe a negative to a positive, or from something that's been holding us back to something that propels us forward. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Make sure you share this link out with your friends. And today we're talking about why you do what you do, the science of neuroscience, and how it affects our day-to-day life. Stay with us. All right, folks, thank you for sticking around.
Today, neural agility.
Neural agility.
I'm talking about I need to be able to be mentally flexible to be able to make those decisions and have the broad enough perspective to make those flips and things I need to do without pulling my mental muscles. If I got neural agility, I can do that, huh?
And the first step, I'm sure, is stretching, right? So let's talk about that.
So neuro agility, what is that? Okay, so we talk about team agility, organizational agility, different kinds. But what is neuro agility? So we're talking here about your brain, that asset you talked about that's between both ears, that is responsible for everything that you do. So neuroagility is the ability to think, learn, process information with ease, speed, and flexibility. And it helps people to adapt, adjust, learn new skills quickly, unlearn unwanted behavior fast, and then be flexible in moving across ideas and understandings in such a way that you are able to maximize the potential learning value of a given experience. And that's what it's about. So what is it that you're doing? Because I know people say, yes, I read a lot. Well, that's fine. But first of all, it really starts by understanding truly what's your neuro design. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier on. How do you learn? How do you process information? When you know that, then we also want to make sure that we optimize it. We said earlier on, you've got to use it or lose it. What the neuroagility profile does is that it helps you, it gives a holistic picture of your brain performance, your neurological design. And there's a special focus on cultivating high performance and mental agility. So we've got things that we call the drivers. And the drivers, common sense, sleep, stress, coping, how you cope with stress, food, movement, brain fitness, and the idea being you must have experienced how it is if you don't sleep enough. What happens? 2 days without enough sleep, 3 days without enough sleep. And then you do a task that really needs you to focus. That's difficult. So there's a whole cycle going on there. The attitude, that is all. If you are always pessimistic, that's what you attract. When we also talk of what do you manifest? If you are pessimistic, you can't see opportunities. Everything is dark. And we need to also know that you've got the primitive brain, some people call it, some people say reptilian brain. I like to call it the primal brain because it's the basis of your breathing, digesting, healing. And you have got what I like to refer to as the 3 Fs, which is fight, flight, or freeze. And if those are triggered, once your fear circuits are switched on, there is very little performance that can go on there. There is very little productivity that can go on there. How can you have a growth mindset when you are busy running away from something, trying to avoid something, or just hoping that something will go away. So the idea of neuro agility is take care of that asset. There's a whole system there, and it is logical. If you don't feel safe, that's what you're going to be trying to protect yourself from. If you feel good, you will be able to focus on the task at hand. You'll be creative. I mean, can you imagine somebody who is afraid, who feels stressed, and then they say, okay, come on, make a marketing plan. How is he going to do that? The brain has very limited mental energy. You can't just keep on doing cognitive tasks and expect it to go on and on. So we say, be mindful. Take care of that asset. If you're working all day long, you can get up after 45, 50 minutes. Stretch. 5 minutes does magic for the brain to just stop, breathe, turn around, stretch your body, yawn. People say, what? Yawn? I need to try it. Yawn. 6 times, not 2 times, but because people feel like, yawn? What do you mean yawn? Like yawn, like really yawn. You're going to notice that the first 2-3 times you do it, you don't really, it's not deep. But then try it the 4th, 5th, 6th time, you will really find yourself really yawning.
What's the scientific understanding of that?
Your brain needs energy. You've been focusing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need to give your brain a break.
Right.
So you stop and you yawn. And what that does is that it gives the brain a break, and it gets oxygen, because the brain needs glucose and oxygen to function. And we know that the mental energy gets drained. So when you do that and you stretch, and that's amazing for the brain when you want to focus on your performance through the day. But if you power on and power on and power on, what happens is that you start making mistakes. Isn't it?
Yep.
So that's it. It's really, and again, this is not something you do once, because people say, oh yeah, I swim. That's fine. Your brain fitness is more than just reading a book.
Yeah.
Reading a book you're doing that. That's good. The brain needs novelty. I'm talking of actual exercise. So I would like you to do something with me. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So you look at me. Okay. Do you see what I'm doing? Joshua, Rob, come on. You're supposed to do it with me.
Do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, one hand to the nose.
Yep.
And the other goes to the ear. Good. And now clap, and the other way around. And the other way around.
Whoa.
No, not your cheek, your nose, Rob. Look.
I just slapped my face.
Don't flap like that. Do you see that?
I thought I did. I really thought I did, but you gotta stop doing it so easy. Can you stop?
And you do that, and you see, I do that 60 times. I do that 60 times in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, before I go to bed. And this is this is just one exercise that you do. You could do another one, which is, you see that? You talk to my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk that thumb.
Point thumb. Yeah.
Do you see that? And those are actual exercises for brain fitness. That has nothing to do with reading, exercising. No.
Wow.
There are a whole lot of things, and that's what we do. For example,
that is some good stuff. I just slapped the mess out of myself just now with that. That was really, that's like coordination.
I was like, what? I don't know what to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I also heard from, I follow a guy by the name of Jim Quick. He was talking about brushing your teeth with the other hand, the opposite hand.
And,
because
standing on one leg. That's an exercise you can do. Yeah. Brush, use the opposite hand and stand on one leg.
Ooh.
You do that twice a day. So there are so many things, because you see, you need to make the brain. You need to challenge the brain.
Let me set the room real quick so people know why we're talking about this weird stuff. We're saying this stuff because, doing these different activities opens up different parts of the brain. And then when you do that, when you use different parts of your brain, and you get more access to more parts of your brain. Essentially, is what we're talking about. So having these little drills and tips that Omozua is talking about is going to help you to grow.
Exactly. It will give you brain fitness, which as a result of brain fitness, you are going to be able to process and use more of your potential. You know what I mean? For resourceful things, for things that you want. If you need to be creative, your brain has to be fit to actually help you on that journey. So that's what we do. And the neuro agility helps with talent selection. It helps. We have for young children who then understand, like, oh my God, this is the reason why I have troubles learning at school, because of the way I am being taught. And then we can make these adjustments, and students can see, how can I learn better? Students today, they need to study so much. There's so much to read, so many exams. How do they do that? How are they helped? And also employees, normal people like us, you need to focus. You've got deadlines, and everything is fast and everything is new. How do you manage that if you don't take care? And I have them in different colors, and I have them in different forms. They're just around me. I work with these things. It is so important for us to understand that we need to take care, because there are different parts, and each part it's an element. It's like that soup or that lasagna I was telling you about. The different elements contribute to what you can create. And a point of departure when it comes to your personal growth, optimizing your potential, enhancing your possibilities, starts with you knowing, what do I bring to the table from within? If you want to motivate yourself, it may help. I hear motivation. You should. There is the amygdala. I like to call mine Diana, or my inner mind Chihuahua. You know, the one that you are thinking, oh, this is an opportunity. I want to go it. And your inner mind Chihuahua is going like, danger. I don't know what that is. I've checked my folder. We don't have that in there.
Yeah.
So no. Woof. Danger, threat, smoke, fire. And here again, I say, we need to become aware that this is happening. That's what happens. When you talk about motivation, you say you should. What you should. It's not up to you unless you intentionally understand that you need to choose it. And I say, mine is called Diana. Thank you, Diana, for making me aware of the so-called danger. Because if you want to sign a contract for a merger, that's all it is. The dinosaur is just a lizard, but your inner mind Chihuahua will tell you the difference, because that's why we remain stuck. And the brain is lazy. Why do you want to do it like that? Really? Yeah. Come on. Don't cook that. Don't make that salad. Come on. Look at that nice chocolate cake. Isn't that nice? Because the brain likes pleasure. So people talk about discipline. Oh, come on. Yeah, you need to understand that is what is happening. And what does it boil down to? Power of choice. Yep. Exercising your choice. And knowing that sometimes you always need to see beyond the obvious, because that thing that feels good, lying in bed instead of getting up to exercise, if that is what you planned to do, takes effort. And effort is a combination of time and energy. So you need to tell the brain, we're going to do that.
We're going to get it done.
Later in the day, we're going to have a pudding. But before the pudding, we're going to do that. And you will see that your brain will work with you. Your inner mind Chihuahua is not going to sabotage, you're not going to sabotage yourself, because you're focused on the goodies, instant gratification now.
Yeah.
I want to be happy now.
That's good.
Or I want to be happy long-term, daily. Yep. And I can change my state.
I think a couple of things came out. One is that, your brain is a beautiful designed piece of machinery. It's amazingly designed. But in any great design, what you want to always strive for is greater efficiencies. and Rob knows about that with STA and the RPA systems, that we're always looking for greater efficiencies. That's what his business does for businesses. But your design of your brain is always going to look for greatest efficiencies. And what's more efficient than something that's repeatable, repeatable? So we know this automation is going to make us more successful. It's going to make us more efficient. So when you're used to just getting up this way and doing this, brushing your teeth this way, you have a routine. A lot of times you can go on autopilot. It doesn't require a lot of brain power or thinking. If you ever drove home and then you realize, oh, I'm home, and you just kind of went somewhere else while you were driving, you just kind of went on autopilot. Your brain knows the way. It's muscle memory. It does those things.
Exactly.
But so what we're talking about is neuroplasticity and that neuro agility by challenging the normal that your brain has so that it can grow and create new pathways. That plasticity will allow for your brain to create new neural connections and new places for those neurons to travel to. And then those things will become efficiencies. And you'll be able to do those. Just how she was doing this.
If you practice it, that's it.
Efficiencies.
Like so, reading the Spanish, right?
Yeah, right. Because you say new pathways, wonderful, new pathways. But if you don't put them into practice,
right,
it will go away. So that's I'm like, yeah, neuroplasticity, wonderful. But you need to know that you need to do it every day.
On a consistent
you need to
basis.
Be consistent, but be compassionate also with yourself. And let the brain work with you. Work for you, serve you. And you give the instruction, because you see, the brain just looks at it. Somebody told me a funny story. He said, look, the brain looks at something and says, can I eat you? Good. Can I reproduce with you? Good. Because it's all about survival, right? How do humans survive? You have to reproduce, you have to eat, and also have fun. So the brain look, can I eat you? Yummy. Can I reproduce with you? That keeps me alive. Can I just have fun? Do you give me pleasure? Super. Anything that doesn't fall there means I will lose something. And what is the fears of the brain? The loss of finance, loss of safety, loss of health, loss of status, and loss of belonging, love, and connection.
Is all that happening? Is all that you just mentioned happening in the amygdala?
That is what the amygdala will see, is that being violated. Okay, so if you hear, ooh, a new director is coming. Ooh, somebody says he's very strict. Some people will think, oh, that's nice, a change, right? Because maybe they are more optimistic. Some people will go, I'm not going to say anything till I meet him, and then I will decide. But they're already suspicious.
Yeah.
Some people will say, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. Oh my God, terrible. But do you see that these are different ways that different brains are reacting?
Right.
Fight, right? When the fear circuit is gone on, this person is just going to say, oh my God, he fired 10 people. May be true, may not be true. And that is the energy, you're right? That's where you direct. That's where you direct your energy.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're more like, oh, that's an opportunity. There is nothing till I see that there is something. Let's see when he comes, she comes.
Yeah.
Done.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So everything I'm doing with you, the brain it keeps you alive. And I always, in my work, I always say, by all means possible. And I know you've heard about the Maslow pyramid.
Your needs.
Your needs. Now, I'm sorry. If anything is challenging me getting my basics, what do? Fight, flee, or freeze.
Right.
It's logical. You become defensive, right? Because you feel unsafe. And when you're aware of that, you can tweak, course correct, and choose again.
I like that. Tweak, course correct, change, and choose again. That's good.
I think that a lot of folks, think about like this type of study as something that maybe goes on later in life. Like, it's not really in regular educational 12th grade through. It's maybe you go to college and say, hey, I'm interested in this stuff, or you take up some reading of the materials. But it kind of seems like, look, your brain is basic. Like it gets you out of bed. It makes you brush your teeth. It helps you to make cereal or whatever you eat for breakfast. Like your brain's always functioning. So education should start there. Like we should start there at 2, 3, 4 years old. And it could be just as simple as doing the nose ear thing, but these things that try to help develop the child's brain, especially since they're going off into school to learn, get their minds ready for that. But even
Yes.
teaching them practices like yawning and things. And so for the folks watching there, we can't really depend on the schools or anybody else to teach our kids what they need to know. We need to take it into our own hands. So, my suggestion is, my encouragement of you is to get to know more about this stuff that's going on, get to know more about what Omozua is teaching and showing. I'm sure she has some resources available for you guys to check out, but get to know this for yourself so yourself can benefit, right? So you can grow and
Yeah.
but so you can impact your children, because we talked about on last show, what we do in those first 6 years can make the kid as they are for the rest of their life. They're going to be ingrained in these things like, hey, you don't drink when you have food. Some people teach that. You eat first and then you drink later. I know households like that.
Conditioning, right?
I say your kids eat, drink, just be merry. I don't really separate those things, but then they do that to their kids, and that's how they eat the rest of their lives. And no, you can't have this. So we're going to condition our children in some way. But what if we condition them to have the freedom to kind of develop for themselves, to kind of develop how their mind really truly works, and not limit their ability to be expressive, but open that up. That's why we talk about giving them art classes and these things to let the mind kind of fully get rooted before we start sectioning off doors, closing windows, and boxing the brain in. And says, now this is what you need to be. And then people go on their whole lives like that. And then later they're in therapy because they need to unbox and they don't know how to get out that box. But if we open up from the start, but I think a lot of us don't have the understanding ourselves. So
we're getting it.
You can, before our last couple of minutes, Omozua, can you share more about some of these things that adults need to know for themselves and functioning, but what could be really good for impacting our children and the next generation to come? How can we make this be more of a commonplace so we can have more power, more will, more control over how things, maybe be better people for it?
Yeah. I would say start with emotions, emotional mastery. Let children understand as young as possible. Let them understand it's not because I feel something that I need to hit you. Start with that. Emotional mastery. Let them understand, yes, you can feel a certain emotion, but you can ask questions so that you can get out of it. It takes 90 seconds. When you feel something, give it 90 seconds and it dissipates. That's all it takes. 90 seconds and the intensity of what you feel goes away, unless you hold on to it. Yeah. I'm angry. Well, that's what you're gonna track. So I think that we need to start with making people understand you are not a victim of your circumstance. Yes, there is a lot of conditioning, and parents do their best. They don't mean, they don't mean ill in the way they bring up children or the way we are. But how you grow up is how you become and how you see yourself. And we talk about the labels you grow up with, and that somehow makes us become these adults that find it very difficult to be truly authentic. And authentic, not just to look good, but to actually feel good from within. And the basis of emotional intelligence, it starts with emotional mastery. And then also knowing that, yes, I have to function in this fast-paced world. It's volatile, it's uncertain. And my boss expects me to learn 10 new systems in 2 weeks. How do I do that? So this is where the brain fitness comes in. This is where the neuro agility comes in. And as people who work with people to help them to enhance themselves, I don't say fix, repair. There's nothing to fix or repair. It is as it is, but you need to look at the whole system and to see that it's like a mobile, the one that you have hanging above babies' bed. Just look at it. I learned this from Karen Van Hout, who is an amazing systemic neuroagility trainer and my business partner. She pulls one down. That changes the position. But look at the others. They also have to find their balance. They are impacted by that one you pull down. And so instead of just blaming this one, you need to sort of work with everything. So on an individual level, or with a family, or with a team, or with a company. Yeah. If somebody leaves a team, and nobody explains why, everybody comes on Monday and the person is no more there. What do you think is happening? People are asking questions. Brains are feeling insecure. They don't feel safe because nobody is communicating. Why is he gone? What happened? Do you understand what I mean? And that is so important that we Yeah, I just got split into
You
two
said,
there.
where did he go? What's happening? He disappeared. It was like perfect timing.
But that's the idea, that you need to understand the brain takes what it's survival very important, and how you focus on the brain when you're managing, you're influencing, you're motivating, you're disciplining, you're bringing up, but also when you're giving feedback. If it doesn't feel fair, that's an unsafe brain. And I think as an organization, there is nothing as debilitating as having brains that don't feel safe. Because if you want to have a competitive advantage today, if you want to grow, have sustainable success, and I say sustainable meaning you can really repeat it despite what's happening, these things need to feel safe. They need to be fit, and they need to be neuroagile.
Yes.
With our last 2 minutes, give people some information on where they can get more of this knowledge from. Any links that you can provide, or anything that you want to share with us. And then we'll also have those posted below on our YouTube. If you guys want to go ahead and look at that, it'll be down below. But where can people find more of this information and more about what you're doing?
Absolutely. So when it comes to emotional mastery, you can find that on www.omozua.com. For neuroagility, you can find that on www.systemicneuroscience.com, where we just, that's what we do. We do neuroagility workshops, we do emotional training, we do online brain agility booster programs, and you can also contact me definitely on LinkedIn. Send me a message. My mission is be CEO of your brain and life.
Omozua.
And let's have a brain-friendly world.
Let's have a brain-friendly world. And
I love that term.
I so appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you do. And I say, we are such blessed humans to be alive at this time. Like, it really is the greatest time to be alive on this planet. If you were a human ever, any human in history of time would say, I want to be one of them. And the reason for that is because we have access to information like this. And if you really do take in insight, you take these insights about neuroagility and begin to understand how to have emotional mastery. Mm-hmm. And we could actually teach our children, because I have this vision for happiness schools, and inside the happiness schools, our kids are learning those attributes, not just like English and math, but like emotional intelligence and caring and all those things. But point is, what happens when we teach our children these things and they come up with these things? What do those adults produce?
Yeah.
So thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much for the space. Really honored to be here today.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. And it's been a lot. I've learned some things. And I'm going to definitely practice the ear, nose thing.
Do that. It's very simple.
Yeah, I got little ones. So I'm going to have them do that right when we close the show. I'm going to go with my kids and say, hey, let's do this game. And that's going to be a thing. Yeah. Don't forget the clap, right? Don't forget the clap. That is awesome, man.
Hey, look, I can play almost any sport. What the heck?
Yeah.
You've got to do that.
What is that? I'm going to get it, though. I'm going to send you a video.
Thank you once again. And thank you, folks, for watching today. Hopefully, everybody's learned something. Make sure you leave your comments and feedback. And again, folks, if you guys want to get more information, you can follow those links. We'll have them posted below. Make sure you guys check us out on our places, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Mindset Ready Grow. And you can get us on Patreon if you guys want to support the show. Grab the t-shirts and just keep watching, keep sharing. Until next week, thank you guys, and we'll see you then. Mindset Ready Grow. Mindset.